All right. So there are 3 tips that I want to share with you today that are going to help you rank on page 1 of Etsy. And we just wrapped up a full live stream where we went really deep into it, but I wanted to give you the Cliff Notes version. And I'm not going to do it. Actually, I'm going to have my good old buddy, Chris Schaefer, do it for us. So Chris, if you could do that, give us a quick recap. What are those 3 tips that people need to know in order to rank on page 1 of Etsy and stay there for Q4, but also for 2025?
So if we're trying, and I think, Scott, this is everybody's goal, if we're trying to rank on page 1, especially in that number 1 spot, and stay there, there's 3 big things that we need to understand and that we need to focus on. The first thing is we need to understand how Etsy SEO actually works, what it is and what it, I think this is the biggest place where we see people trip up nonstop. It's the biggest place where we see myths pop up all the time. And it's the biggest thing that Etsy's CEO actually came out recently and said, people are doing this wrong. And I don't quite know why, because I don't know where this got started, right? Etsy's SEO algorithm is not based on keywords. Shoving more keywords into our title, into our description, spending all of our time, energy, and effort focusing on finding that golden keyword, the keyword that no one else is using. A different way of describing the same thing, that's not where our time is best focused from a search engine optimization perspective on Etsy. Now, I know all of you are in the comments right now saying, well, then what do I do? How do I do this? What is important if keywords aren't important? You're crazy. Obviously, keywords are important. Keywords are important to a point, but keywords are not going to make or break your listing as long as you are accurately describing what it is that you are selling. So if you are selling a dancing avocado mug and you have dancing avocado mug or dancing avocado cup, Etsy's algorithm is smart enough to know that a mug and a cup are the same thing, and you would qualify for all of the same search results, whether you call it a mug or a cup, or you write cup 50 times or 1 time. It's in your title tags, description, or even the alt text of your photos. Even once you pass that first level of test, which is, could somebody who is running this search right now possibly be looking for this product, right? And the place where I get a little confused on this, Scott, and you guys let me know in the comments as well, is that's where people stop. And if we think about this for just a second, that would mean everybody who sold a similar product would just randomly show up because they all qualify at exactly the same rate. Obviously, that's not how Etsy search works. So how does it work? Well, it turns out it's all about conversions. Etsy's goal, just like any search engine's goal, is to answer the question of the person who is searching. If we think about this in the context of something like Google, if we go to Google and we type in how many tablespoons in a cup, and they send us to something that measures in metric, that doesn't make a lot of sense and it doesn't answer our question. We'd go back to Google and we'd look for something that told us how many tablespoons were in a cup, right? Google's goal is to correctly answer that question as quickly as possible. So the number 1 search result on Google should get you that answer. In the case of Etsy, what is the question that the searcher is asking? Which product would I be most likely to purchase if I'm searching for dancing avocado mug or whatever it is that they are typing in? So Etsy's algorithm is driven not by keywords, because they know that a cup, a mug, a teacup, coffee cup, drinky thing, ceramic thing for desk with dancing avocado mug on it could all potentially mean the same thing. So they throw every listing that could qualify for that into a bucket, and then they start filtering those out based on how likely they are to convert. Now, there's a little bit more to it than that, and they layer a few other filters on before they really get to that point. But it all really comes down to which listing, my listing for the dancing avocado mug or Scott's listing for the dancing avocado mug, is this particular customer most likely to purchase. That's the one that has the highest likelihood of ranking first. The second most likely one would rank second, and so on and so forth. We can throw some ads in on top of that. But at the very basic level, Etsy's algorithm is driven by conversions. It's not driven by keywords. Keywords are the tires that get us there, but the entire rest of the car is the conversions. Everything else comes down to how likely a customer is, if they search for something, to buy the listing that Etsy is showing. So Scott, with that out of the way, let's dive into thing number 2. And if we're really trying to get to the top of Etsy search results and stay there, what do we need to focus on? Now that we have an understanding that it's not about keywords, it's about conversions, what do we need to think? And there's 3 things here. You and I have started calling this the core 3 that everybody needs to think about. The very first thing is we can have the highest converting listing in the world. But if there's one person a month who's searching to buy that thing on Etsy, even if we convert it 100%, we're not ever going to get any more sales than that, right? Because that's the limit of what that product could have. So the biggest mistake, once people kind of understand that, is that they're launching a lot of products that don't have demand. And they think finding a slightly different keyword is going to solve the problem. But if there's only one person named Chris who's searching for dancing avocado mugs every month on Etsy, I can try every keyword combination in the world. I can make all the listing tweaks in the world, but there's still only one possible customer every single month. So we have to focus on products that are in demand. Thing number 2 in the core 3, Scott, is did we do the basics, right? I didn't say don't ever think about keywords. We said think about them at a very basic level. Are we accurately describing the product? And that's a lot of what we mean when we talk about doing the basics. If we want to set ourselves up for success, we don't have to worry about shoving every possible variation of the keywords in there, but we do have to fill out our title, tags, and description, right? We have to accurately describe the product within the Etsy ecosystem. We have to say personalized dancing avocado mug, if that's what you're selling, in the title. We're going to fill out our tags with some of the other keywords that we would potentially use. And in our description, we're going to remind people what the product is, why they might want to buy it, who it's for, and what it's made of, right? That's the extent of what we have to do here. This doesn't have to be an exercise of how many different ways can I describe the same thing. Think about doing your SEO basics that way. Not only will it make your life a little bit easier, but it is also better because it's written for a human in a way that the Etsy algorithm, that evil Terminator robot, Scott, that everybody thinks about all the time, will also understand, right? So if we write for humans first, we set ourselves up for higher conversion rates, and we can actually limit the amount of time that we're spending doing the basic things of filling out the title, tags, and descriptions. Obviously, we also want to focus on our images, making sure that those are all filled out. And once we've done those, then all we're really doing at that point, Scott, thing 3 in core 3 is focus on improving, right? Take a look at what's happening and see if we can improve our conversion rate. Tip number 3, if we're trying to get to the top of Etsy search results and stay there, is all about that last thing from the core 3, Scott. How do we get higher conversions? How do we consistently ensure that we are doing the best that we can when Etsy shows us? Well, the best thing to do is just let the data be our guide. Take a look at the reports that Etsy gives us access to, both on the Etsy ad side and on the organic side. And we just got some news from some of the people watching the live stream that we just did, Scott, that they are rolling out some of the new features inside of the seller dashboard to hopefully give sellers even more insight into what's working and what's not. But on the ads report, we get to see when we show up for a keyword, how likely it is that somebody comes to the listing, how likely it is that if they come to the listing, do they turn into a sale? They're giving us even more insight into that on the organic side. So the very first thing we need to do to ensure that we can secure that top spot is focus on that data. And when we're looking at that data, it really comes down to a few different quick things. Are we getting seen, right? So if we have those keywords, are we even getting impressions? Are we showing up in the search results? Thing number 2, are we getting traffic? So if somebody sees us in the search results, are they likely to click on our listing? If we're getting those clicks, we're getting people to come into the listing, then how likely are they to turn into a customer, right? And if we look at those 3 things, then we can have a really good understanding of how we stack up against our competition, especially if we're using something like Everbee, where we can take a look at the listing, see what their average traffic looks like, and see what their conversion looks like. We can compare ourselves against our higher selling and higher ranking competitors to say, okay, they're getting a lot more impressions. Maybe I missed something on the keyword side, or they're converting at 6%. I'm converting at 2%. What are they doing in their title, tags, description, and in their images, which is the thing where people miss the most from an SEO perspective because it doesn't have a direct impact on ranking, but it has a massive impact on conversion. What are our higher converting competitors doing that we can then model and apply to our listing? And if we can focus on those things, right? What are the different changes that I can make to increase that conversion rate? Then we are going to start to see ourselves climbing the rank. And if we can consistently convert as well as our competitors or better, we'll see ourselves climbing in those SEO ranks and we can secure that number 1 spot.